Hello, hello, you fabulous interior design professional. Welcome to Business of Design, episode 403. What? That's impossible. No, it's not impossible. We actually have done 403 episodes. Well, there's been a couple of repeats, but not too many. And today's episode, I really enjoyed. I got a chance to talk to Kate Marker, who's an interior designer from Chicago. And she has recently released her first book, which I just think is such a feat. And it is called The Love of Home: Interiors for Beauty, Balance, and Belonging. Really, Kate and I just used the launch of her first book to talk about a philosophy around client management. How do you help a client use you to create the space that they're dreaming of? When very often the client doesn't actually have the right vocabulary to tell you what they want. Kate's going to give the example of a client tells her she wants something high contrast, and she then shows her pictures of a space that's high contrast, and the client goes, "Oh no, that's not what I want." And I've had that experience so many times. Client says, "I want it modern and contemporary," and I show them pictures, and they're like, "No, no, no, more like this." And I would say, like, "Oh boy, that doesn't strike me as modern or contemporary. It's a bit maybe transitional where it's half half, and that doesn't work for me. So how am I going to convince this client that I'm the expert and I know what I'm talking about, and she should trust me and let me handle some of these decisions for her?" Now, the process that we use, Kate's process, is different than my process. As you know, we present the whole house at the beginning, top to bottom, and I try to impact my clients in terms of making decisions very, very little after that presentation. I want them to make all the decisions at the presentation. Then I want them to kick back and relax and let me do what I'm good at. I'm only good at this one thing. I'm only good at interior design. So please let me do that because I'm really good at that. And in the episode, we talk about pet peeves, those things that kind of bug you when you're working with clients. And I was thinking about mine. And one of Kate's is micromanaging for sure. I try to shut that down the minute it happens, but occasionally it can sneak in, and I find that that's really destructive to a relationship when a client starts trying to micromanage us. When does this due and when does this due? We give you an update every Friday unless we tell you there's a problem, the due dates don't change, leave it with us kind of thing. And I try to shut that down. But I was trying to think about what my other sort of pet peeves are. And I would say I can't work with a couple if they're not on the same page. If he wants traditional and she wants contemporary and they can't seem to compromise, to me, that's a big red flag I don't want to deal with. Um, I don't like aggressive behavior. It doesn't happen very often, but once in a while you get that client whose language and tone is a little aggressive. I'm sure I talked about this on the podcast, but we had this client who was kind of freaking out because something got dented by the movers as they were bringing it into his house. And the way that he behaved around this very small deficiency, it was a night table that was going to go in their primary bedroom. And the movers scratched the back of the table, which was against a wall, and he lost it. Like this was a fine antique and they had destroyed it. I mean, really lost it. I'm just like, I can't handle stuff like that very well. I know how to deal with it now. And I was able to channel my inner diva and hold my ground and shut it down, but I don't like to deal with it. Let's put it that way. I try to avoid clients who are going to bring a lot of drama into my life. Plenty of drama in the world, don't need it around design projects. Thank you very much. So I would say that that's one of mine. What's one of yours? I wonder if you'll reach out and tell us. I would really like to know. Yeah. And the other thing I notice is there are certain clients that I just don't jive with that well, but Victoria or Kathy or somebody else on my team, they might work really well with them. And I sort of just remove myself from the mix as much as I can. I do a lot of the stuff behind the scenes. That's my job, like selections. But when it comes to communications and interactions, I sort of let them take over. And that seems to work really well also. So it's a really good conversation. Let me tell you a little bit more about Kate. She's an interior designer based in Chicago. She describes her own style as timeless. She's been in the business for over 20 years and she loves making her spaces feel comfortable, connected to nature. She wants homes to feel like sanctuaries, and her work takes on the form of residential interiors and showrooms and even some collaborations with home brands. So it's wonderful. You can find out more about Kate at katemarkerinteriors.com or Kate Marker Interiors on Instagram. And as I said, her book, The Love of Home, Interiors for Beauty, Balance, and Belonging, you might want to pick up a copy and have a read through that as well. Everybody, we're so glad you're here. Where would I be without you to talk to every week? Gosh, if you have been thinking that you have a great idea for the podcast, you have a superpower, you have something to share, or you need coaching and you're willing to do it live on the air, then reach out to Cheryl at businessofdesign.com and let's get you on the show. 400 episodes, and we are like going strong, ready to do 400 more. Thanks for being here, everyone. Let's hear from Cheryl Horn, and then we'll get right into the show.
Thanks, Kimberly. Well, absolutely. If you want to be a guest on the podcast, please reach out to me, Cheryl, at businessofdesign.com. We would love to hear from you and feature you and your expertise on the podcast. So please do reach out. Coming up tomorrow, November 20th, is our next BOD Live, and we're going to be joined by marketing expert Vanessa McQuaid, who's going to be talking about sales and marketing, specifically 3 musts of marketing and sales: creating a world-class website, generating qualified leads, and establishing a professional sales process. So join us for that. If you're already a member, it's free. It's part of your membership. Just log on to your dashboard right before we get started at 1 o'clock EST. And if you're not yet a member, please do join us. There's still time to sign up before tomorrow. As a member, you get a full access pass to all of our programs, which includes Business of Design's 15-step project management strategy. Start to finish, it teaches you how to run your projects in a streamlined way. But how to run your projects is only one of our learning streams. The other is how to run your business, and that is made up of 6 individual programs, including billing, invoicing, and collecting for your design fees. Our pricing model program, which covers design fees, procurement, and project management fees. There's so much available to you within BOD programs. Check it out at businessofdesign.com, and I'm always available to answer questions. Cheryl at businessofdesign.com. Thanks so much.
Kate, so good to talk to you.
You too. Thanks for having me here, Kimberly.
Absolutely. I want to ask right off the bat, how are book sales going?
Book sales are going so well. We're already sold out on our first round of the order. So we're really happy and pleased to share.
Oh my gosh, it only launched a month or so ago, September 3rd, I think it came out. It's called The
It
Love
was
of
supposed to be
Home.
September 3rd, actually, and it got pushed back to the 17th. So it's really only been about a week and a half.
Oh my gosh, well done. Okay, so the book is called The Love of Home, Interiors for Beauty, Balance, and Belonging. And when you go to Kate's website, as you will, I hope you will see why her book is called that, because your spaces to me feel so serene and comfortable. Like I could just come in and just immediately feel comfortable and feel at home. And one of the things we wanted to talk about today is kind of your superpower in terms of tapping into your clients
Uh-huh.
and understanding what they want and what they need, right?
Right.
So tell us a little bit about your philosophy and how you've gotten there.
Sure. Yes, all of our, approach is really about those principles that you just discussed, and is really a highlight in our book, beauty, balance, and belonging. And I think the most important of all 3 of those, of course, we're always like focusing on beauty when it comes to designing an interior. But it's really about getting that, the feeling of beauty too, not only experiencing it, but feeling like you're in a beautiful space that you're completely inspired by. So we focus on that first and foremost. And then we, balance is always important, right? Balance is always, the symmetry of a space is definitely, key to feeling right in an environment. And then belonging. We want to belong. And so back to your question about clients and our approach with them is really helping them figure out who they are and what they want in their home. Oftentimes clients don't really know, and they don't really know how to pinpoint what they want. And so that's through a series of questions. It's through a series of images that we show them. And it's also just the questions. One of the biggest questions is we ask is, how do you want to feel in your space? Do you want it to feel serene and calm? Do you want it to feel moody and vibey? Like, what do you want to feel? What's a memory that you've had from maybe your childhood, or a memory, that feels right to you? Like, how are we going to create that? So I think those are a lot of the questions. And actually our new book is a lot about that. It's a lot about feeling in your space and how you can get that beauty, balance, and belonging, in your home, whether you're hiring a professional or you're doing it on your own.
Oh, God forbid you're doing it on your own, but okay.
I know, it's true.
Pardon me.
Good luck,
Um,
right? No,
yeah, exactly.
the book gives you a lot of pointers on that for sure.
Yeah. I love the idea that you tap into how they feel, because I've spent so many years asking clients, how do you want it to look? Like, what style do you want? And now I do exactly what you do. I say, picture yourself in your front porch. You've got your key in hand. It's been a really challenging day. You turn the lock and you open the door. Tell me how it's going to hit you. What's the mood you're walking into? What's the feeling you're walking into? And I have found that that has been so much more helpful than just saying how you want to look. And do you like red? Do you like blue? Do you like green? Right? It's about how they're going to use the space. And we all have, whether we know it or not, we all have a deep desire to come home and have some particular feeling, right?
Mhm.
Right.
Yes.
And for some people, I guess maybe if you work in a cubicle and your work day is boring and it's the same old everyday routine, what you might want to feel is like dynamic and vibrant and excited. And if you're an emergency room doctor, you might want to feel completely like, I want like no
Calm and
drama.
serene. Yes. Depends. Exactly.
So when you say you have this series of questions, do you have them written down formally for you when you go to meet the
Yeah, we have a
clients?
really pretty, organized questionnaire that we ask, but we also meet with the client. We send a bottle of wine or champagne to, based on their preference, and say, sit down, spend the time. We're getting ready to start your home and this process. Spend some time with your loved ones, sit down, relax and go through our questionnaire. And then we'll also have a follow-up conversation about, a lot of those questions that we're asking. And that's when we show a lot of visual pictures. We'll go through Pinterest, we'll go through magazines sometimes. I love when the clients still show me magazine images, but oftentimes it's Pinterest. And we're going through that because a lot of times clients will say to us, I love contrast. And then I'll show them a photo that's high contrast. And they're like, wait, no, I don't like that. I'm like, well,
Right.
what do you like? Is it the chandelier? Is it the flooring? Is it the wall covering? What is it that you like? And so I think it's like a lot of digging deep with what they like about spaces, how they want to feel. And of course, it's about, the beauty and aesthetic and functionality as well. But that feeling is like, I think that true moment that helps us really understand what the clients need.
Yeah, and I feel like I've been to spaces, I'm sure you have too, where you've walked in and you're like, everything here is beautiful, but
Mhm.
it doesn't feel good. Like,
Right.
what's happening here? Like, is it so overproduced? It feels shallow and hollow. Is it so without contrast and texture that it feels, antiseptic? Like
Mhm.
it sometimes it's subtle the ways a room is off, but if you tap into how it needs to feel for the person, for your client, I think that's a smart way to go. And I think you're right. You can't assume that the client knows what they're talking about when they say we love high contrast or we
So
hate,
true.
we hate drama, we don't like color. We have a friend and we played this game, it was a party game, this or that. And it was simple things like, sleep in late or stay up all night,
I love
this or
that game.
that.
So fun.
Yeah. So one of the questions was pattern or solid. And this friend of ours, and we're all answering it on behalf of everybody else. And our friend says solid, and 100% of everybody else said pattern. And we're like, look at your pants. She was wearing flower pants. Like, what are you talking about? You are so all about the pattern, but sometimes you just, as the client, you just don't know. You just
Sometimes you
haven't, no
just
one's
don't know.
brought
And
your
that's why they are hiring a professional to help get there. It's a little bit of psychology too, really getting to know them. And like I said, like when you ask about feelings, that's part of the psychology behind it. So
Oh, 100%. Hey, did you know that 50% of interior design professionals aren't procuring at all for their clients? The reason? It's just too hard. But not with Daniel House Club. They make it easy. DHC simplifies your design business, offering everything you need in one place. No more wasting time managing orders. They've got it covered so you can concentrate on creating beautiful spaces. Plus, they offer some of the best trade pricing on top brands like Theodore Alexander, Jaipur Living, and Rove Concepts with flat rate shipping. To join, visit danielhouse.club and use the promo code BOD2024, all caps, for 50% off your first year of their Pro Plus membership. And for you longtime members of DHC, they want to reward you for your loyalty. Use the code PROFIT2024, all caps, at checkout to receive 10% off the value of your next order. Joining Daniel House Club is like Instacart for your interior design business. Experience how easy managing procurement for your clients can be. And then have you had this situation, Kate, where the client has said, I like this or that. I like, contrast. And then you figure out they don't like it. Do you then present to them what you want them to have, even if it's not what they said they wanted?
oh,
Does that make
never.
any
We're
sense?
always trying to I mean, we will push the element sometimes. Like we recently had a client that was like, I don't like, you know, geometric tile. I don't like, lots of shapes. And in the beginning of her project, we had presented some inspiration boards and we had said like we really like some, we didn't really think they were geometric patterns, but like some fun tiles in her modern home. And now she's come around towards the end of the project and saying like, I like some of those tiles you presented me in the beginning, So I keep thinking about that. You guys told me really early on. So, I think some of our clients, they just need to go through that process. They need 4 or 5 design boards, and other clients, they'll trust the process in the beginning because, we're getting to know them. I mean, often our clients, we have 2 or 3 or 4 homes that we've done with them over the years,
Mhm.
because we get to know them and have this relationship with them. It's a very personal connection when you're designing someone's home. I always say you get to know their true colors when, you design their home, and
Oh, yeah.
um, it's the truth. So
Yeah,
whether it's
and but
very colorful or neutral or whatever it may be,
yeah, and they get to know you too. And I would
they
think I look
do. They
at
really do.
your website is so cohesive. I would think that the clients who come to you kind of know what your vibe is and maybe say, we want Kate's approach. What would you do if this was
That
your
happens
house?
often.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They come to us for our aesthetic and our look, and it's our job to infuse our look with their look and what they're going for. And so, like I said, it's all about that relationship and that connection. And once we establish that up front, it becomes an easy project. And fun.
Is that like trust? Like, what are some of the things you
Yes, of
guys
course
do to
it's about
build?
trust. One of my sayings actually you would read in the book is when trust happens, beautiful things happen. So yeah, establishing that connection relationship up front, that's where you get trust. And then when you trust the process and realize like that's what you're hiring us for, you might not be hiring your neighbor down the street or your friend or your sister-in-law or whoever you're getting advice from. You're hiring us. So let's trust it and let's do this together. So there's a lot of credibility, that comes with seeing our website and seeing our social pages and seeing work that we've done in the past. But it's not just about that credibility that I've established, the last 20 plus years. It's about that connection and that relationship that we establish up front.
I find like you're so right. Maybe 20 years ago when people went to your website and they saw what you had online, there was a really good trust that could be built on that. But these days, I feel like there's so many people who are just posers, and it's hard to know if what you're seeing on a website is an accurate depiction of who you're hiring. So I wonder if it takes a little more effort these days to build trust in this environment. And if so, how do you get your clients to trust you? What are the tangible things you do that to illustrate you're someone they can trust?
Well, I think it's back to what we just discussed. It's like those conversations. I think a lot of it comes from the credibility of having a great portfolio, of course, but then having those conversations, getting to know them and understanding, what they value and what their lifestyle's like and what they see as, important features, whether it's in their home or just in life. And so I think that is a big part of the trust. And then I think too, our relationships with the team that's in place has a lot to do with the trust of the client. Like I definitely noticed that, if I've worked with a builder before on a project and the client maybe had the connection and not a connection with me, like there's a lot of trust and credibility that can come from that. And we prefer to work with similar teams that we've worked within the past, but of course, we always love new relationships because those can turn into something really great as well.
Mhm.
Um, but I think that it depends on the project, depends on the relationship, but like I said, we really dig deep into getting to know who the clients are to help with their designs. It's not just creating a beautiful space. I'll never ever ever forget years ago. I walked when I was like a baby designer and like one of my first projects on my own. I walked into this client's home and she had red everywhere. I mean, it was like red cabinets, red wall covering, red accent lighting, red everywhere. And I walked in her house and I was like, wait, so why'd you hire me? Your house, your space is done. Like you clearly love red. And she was like, no, I hate red. I hate everything about it. I was like, well, why did you hire somebody? Did you do this? What happened? And she's like, well, I never even talked to my designer. My designer just did what she wanted. And I was like, I mean, I just was appalled.
Wow.
And that has affected me in my designs. Like, I think back about that conversation a lot of times throughout my years in this business. And I thought, gosh, I never want to be, that designer that doesn't have conversations with my clients, whether it's about color, so simple, of course, but it's about just getting to know them, as people. So yeah, so we
That's
did all the entire space and everything turned out to be, blue and greens and really calm, cooling colors, like not red and vibrant. And um, yeah, it was
wow. What a
really
massive
that taught
miss.
me. Yeah.
I've never heard of anything like that. I find more often designers can be timid when it comes to putting their wishes on the clients. And there's a fine line, right? Like when you're a new baby designer, you might say to the clients, well, we could do this or this or this or this. And I found that was super confusing for the clients. So I learned to say, this is what I would do, and we should do
Yeah,
this.
confidence. I mean, I think
Yeah.
confidence goes a long way, but maybe not that much confidence. And red
Yeah,
for this
not to do
client. She was
that's
like, that had nothing to do with red.
but
She goes, I
that
thought
feels
you just hired a designer and like, you just do what they say because they're professionals. Like, don't no, that's not what it is. That's not what it's about at all.
yeah, you've got to have some input from the client, but I find often the client's input is a little bit shy of what I need to actually do my job, or they're not really sure what they like. And then it's my job to kind of piece it together, to
Exactly.
kind of figure out, I think this is you. I think this
Mhm.
is you. I feel like that's my superpower. I can meet them and then I can do the presentation and they'll say, "Wow, this is not what we expected, but we love it." I feel like that is actually kind of my gift. I have many deficits though.
I'll
And
do.
right, and for that I
Yeah.
need a team. I need team members who are really good at the things I'm not good at. So what are you not good at that you rely on others for, Kate?
I would say like some of the technical intricacies in a business, like I've done them all. I did it all in my early years, before I hired anybody on my team to help me. But yeah, some of the technical stuff I just, like more like computer, like IT technical. I
Yeah.
don't love it. I don't love it at all. So when it comes to like CAD, I love CAD, so that's technical, but that's like design, related. So
Yeah.
yeah, some of the, all the new technologies that are out there, I'm like, just let me sit in front of my clients and talk to them and figure out who they are. That's where I'm at my best. And all the other stuff, we'll figure it out. So
What's your feeling about how transparent you are with clients? Do they get to peek behind the curtain that is your office and see what your systems are like, or see what your process is like?
absolutely, we're an open book. And sometimes I think I'm too much of an open book. So yeah, of course it's about being honest and open and it's like I said, it's very you get very close with your clients and you open the doors to be like, this is our process and this is how we work, but we're all real people too. So part of that message to clients is, I mean, we're designing attainable, livable, beautiful spaces. And if we're not, opening those doors to being transparent about the process and how whatever it may be, from pricing up front all the way up to the final accessory detail and what our vision is, then it's not going to work. So
Yeah, no
we're-
surprises.
no
Nobody,
surprises.
nobody wants a big surprise. What are the three things you look for in clients then? What are three things that you think would be an indicator that this is going to be a really good client for you to work with?
Well, I would say, every home tells a story, and I think a lot of things that I look for with clients, first thing is a house that tells a story. So, a client that appreciates that story and wants us to help them tell the story of who they are and what they want in their home, and having an appreciation for that, I think is key. Um, and I would say flexibility is another thing that we're looking for. Flexibility as we are pretty flexible as a design team because every client is so unique and so different. So I think, we expect that in return to be flexible and to be understanding when there might be delays, but also to be flexible and being open to um new ideas and something that they might have not been ready for. Maybe we like, throw an oddball, something they weren't expecting in there and it really blows them away. So let's be flexible together. So and I think the last would be a client that appreciates the small details. And I think that's really important, like it's not about, the big moment of how we put the whole home together. It's really about the small details. And a client that has an appreciation for art and the expression that we have behind it is definitely key for us. So
Yeah.
we
Well,
talk about
that so
that a lot as a design team.
those are the things that you love. So now I'm going to put you on the spot and ask you for the things that you really don't like. Do you have like three pet peeves or maybe clients you've worked with and these three things really bug you? Or it could
Oh
be
gosh,
something
three
that
things.
you would say, something that would be a no, no, thank you for you. Something would make you walk away from a potential client.
I think micromanaging is really hard because I think micromanaging or us managing, us as even a design team is definitely a challenge and molding all these different personalities and sort of specialties that everyone has as a whole and because it's not just me designing these homes,
Right.
it's me and my team and I. So that's already a challenge, and then when we have a client that's micromanaging us and we've done this for years, that's really hard. I'm like, this is your job, sort of, as a client, this is our job, and let's come together. Like it's all a collaboration. And so I think that that does like push us over the edge when,
Yeah.
it's not seen as like a team collaboration. But that doesn't
And
happen to us very often. So luckily we have some really wonderful clients right
oh,
now.
yeah.
We've
I
had some in
find
the past, but
when
fortunately
somebody
now we
when
do.
when somebody gives you that vibe that they're going to micromanage, it usually happens pretty early in the relationship, right? And I find if
Yes.
I push back really hard right then, like what's happened to us a couple times in the last few years, which we hadn't seen for like a decade, clients
Uh-huh.
saying things like, we can go pick that up, or we'll
Yes.
return that, or we'll like, no, you're not, no, you don't, no, you won't. Not doing that. That's not
Not how it
happening.
works.
Yeah, that's not how it works. And I've been lucky because I have good clients. I'm like, oh, okay, okay. They understand when we say no, but if you're just starting out, that's really hard to do. So you kind of
It's
want to
hard.
watch out for those moments where the client is kind of subtly or overtly telling you how to run your business. That's usually an indication that you might be run into problems later. Is that fair?
That's fair, but you usually don't know that until the end of the project or through the
Yeah.
middle of it when you're deep in it. So it's
Yeah.
really hard to tell some of those things up front unless you get to know them early on. I feel like I go with my feelings too a lot, like we talked about in design. Like when you feel and you meet with a client in person, like I feel like I can have those like, really um strong feelings whether it's going to work. But every once in a while, just a client will throw you for the loop or you're not expecting it. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, and other clients shock you. You think they might be sort of flexible and easy, and they turn into be
Right.
pretty demanding. So
Right.
having
Right.
expectations, clear expectations and communication is key to any relationship, right? So we try to really, lay that down up front. Like for example, responding to emails. Like our team and I, my team and I, we have so many projects that we're managing at once. And so, when we send a client an email for a selection and we give them options and we say we either are going to meet or they can respond back to us depending on what we're discussing, and they're not quickly getting back to us. We understand everyone is busy, but they're not getting back to us quickly. We can't go on to the next step, like if they need to choose their cabinet hardware or whatever it may be, it's hard to move on to the next step, right? And so that back and forth communication is something we always try to address really early on, that we need, that we're in this together. Let's
Hmm.
do this together, and we need quick responses as well. If you want to move into your house by this time, which they always want to move in way earlier than than they should, right? Then let you got to get back to us. And
Yes, absolutely.
yeah,
And I'm not letting you off the hook. I said I wanted three pet peeves. So definitely micromanaging is one of them. But even,
yeah.
like, so what about a second one?
Second one would be like that, that clear communication. Like we just talked about. I think clear communication is something that does put us really over the edge when the client is not getting back to us in an email because we cannot move forward.
Hmm.
Um, or a presentation. It's because they're
Yeah.
busy, and it's like, we're all busy, right? We're all trying to manage.
I find
So that
more,
would definitely.
yeah, I agree. I find that I've learned to tell the client I need an answer Tuesday, or I'm going to call you back on Wednesday to get the answer to this.
Oh,
Just
that's some
sort of,
good advice. I like that. You give them a deadline. We have
Mhm.
deadlines, so they need to have a
Yeah.
deadline.
Yeah. And I also have found like when I've got a client who's resistant to giving feedback, then I stop asking for feedback. I'll say, this is what we're doing. Unless you hate it, this is what we're doing, if it's some
I
odd
like
thing
that
that's fallen
confidence.
outside of, yeah. And I've even like a couple, maybe in the last 2 years, I've had two projects where I wanted to propose a wallpaper that was pretty wild, and I knew that they would go, oh, I don't know. So I said, we're going to do wallpaper. This is the cost. I'm not showing you the wallpaper. I'm going to install it. If you hate it, we'll rip it out and paint, but you're going to love it. And they've let me do it and they love it. So I'm like, yay. But I think that
That's
comes
fabulous.
with time, right? It takes
It
time
comes with
to,
time. The
it
confidence
takes,
builds over time.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So micromanaging and not getting back to you in time or not giving you clear, direction. What's a third thing?
Um, Let me think about that. I would say, gosh, you're catching me off guard there.
I know I surprised you with
I don't know.
these.
I guess I just love all my clients. They're all perfect.
Yeah. What about the client you would say no to? What if someone calls your office and they say, I'm thinking of like sometimes we'll meet someone, they'll call in September and say, I need everything done for December because we're having a party. And we're like, no can do, not happening. Don't even think about it. And if they're inflexible on that point, we're not the firm for you because we're not going to play
Mhm.
this game.
Oh,
I,
yeah, it's not being flexible. I think,
yeah,
it's back to the things that we love and the things that we don't love. We want them to be flexible because if they're not, then it's not going to work.
yeah.
Expectations we have to align. We absolutely do.
And have you ever had that feeling when you've gone to the first meeting with a client and just thought, I'm not going to take this job. There's something here and I'm not doing it. Has that
Of
ever happened to you?
course. Sometimes
Yeah.
personalities just don't mix, right?
Yeah.
And you can just tell, like, this is going to be a great client for my team and I, and who we are as a design, firm personality. And yeah, it's absolutely, we definitely have those clients.
Yeah.
We only take on from the Kate Marker interior side of our business, we only take on full scope projects now. So a new home from the ground up or a full scope renovation. So, if that getting to that point too, that's a small window of clients. There's a lot of people looking for design, help on their home, but not everybody's either building new or doing a large remodel.
Yeah.
So there's already a small handful of clients, and then making sure that our personalities and fit is a big part of it. And but I don't know, we have such a great team and great connection. I feel like we always find something that, we love and that we can pull off, working with on a client with their home. And yeah, I mean, there's always some great connection that we find. So
Well, I can't think of anything else I'd want to do. That's great. We love to end every episode with something we call design intervention, and it's just a great piece of advice you want to leave the interior designers who are listening with.
yes, I would say be confident, trust in your decisions, and um, yeah, believe in yourself.
Yeah. And I completely agree with that. And one of the things I've learned as I've been doing this longer is I double down on my selections. So if I propose something to a client and they go, I don't know, I say, oh no, this is the right thing. Trust me. I just double down
Trust
hard.
me.
Yeah. And they go, oh, okay. If you feel that way, where when I was younger, I used to go like, oh, well, okay, if you don't like this, then I'll show you this.
Yeah,
And I
right,
find that that just makes a client nervous. So if you liked it enough to propose it, double down. They could still say
right,
no. They could still say, I appreciate that you like this, but I'm not doing it, Kimberly. And okay, no problem. But I still will push my first choice. I
Mhm.
will dig into that. So you're
Well,
you're
when
so
trust
right.
happens, beautiful things happen, right?
Yeah, there you go. That's another good design intervention. Kate,
Mm-hmm.
thank you so, so much. Good luck with the book.
Thank you.
Obviously, you're doing a second printing.
Well, maybe in the future. We got to
What?
get the first one.
Oh, but it's sold out. Okay, we'll put it.
Oh, of course. I thought you meant a second book. I'm like, wow,
Oh,
she's
no,
really
no,
we're
you got
going
to
for
keep.
it.
This one
Of course.
is
We already have a second printing coming out early November. So,
okay. Good.
yeah.
All the information about the book and about Kate Marker Interiors, everything will be at businessofdesign.com. And thank you so much. Enjoy
Thank
the rest of
you.
the,
Appreciate it.
is it a week still? Yeah, it's still a week, right? We
I
still have
know.
Friday to get
The days
through.
go too fast. Thanks, Kimberly.
Thank you.
Thank you.